Thank you for joining us for TCCA 2020. This year is our 10th anniversary, and we are so excited to have attendees from all over the world joining our conference this year.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for TCCA 2020.
I believe there is some backlash here. Sarah, maybe. Okay, here we go. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. Mike is good. Okay. Anyways, my name is Andy, and I'll be hosting this session with my co-host Sarah. Sarah, good morning. How you doing? And before we get started, I want to go over a few items with you. If you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the comment section on YouTube. Our co-host Sarah will be monitoring the comments, as well as our YouTube host, Tara. She's behind the scenes. She's doing really great. And we will provide them for discussion at the end of the session. Please do not log out of the session before receiving the password for the certificate. You cannot access the certificate without the password, and I will post it at the end. And now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our presenter this morning, Dr. Ericka Landry. Dr. Landry, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're so excited. You guys, you're in for a treat because she just did a session on 9 a.m. and it was phenomenal. So,
thank you.
We'll go ahead and we'll hop off the screen and let Dr. Landry take it away. Here you go.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm just super excited that you're here. I just finished talking to your leaders and administrators. We had another session over there at 9. We had a really great time, got lots of really good feedback, and I'm sure I'll get it here as well. So again, I'm Ericka Landry. I currently work for a community college here in Houston. And I am a faculty member, so I'm adjunct faculty member, but I'm also the director for faculty development. So I work with all the different colleges, their professional development staff to make sure that we're giving quality programs to our faculty so that they can help our students. And I'm just looking at the comments before I get started. I just like to see the shout outs from the different districts. So we had about 80 people in the other one from like different states and different schools and ISDs. So I just want to kind of see who I have in here. A-Leaf was in the other one. I see A-Leaf here. And I just want to run through. I love the comment from Frederick on here that says, I wrote it down. Teaching with your mouth shut, almost impossible, I'm afraid. I love that comment. The only reason I named this presentation that is because of this book, but it also gets people to sign up because they're like, okay, so who does this Dr. Landry think she is that's going to tell us not to lecture? All right. So I'm not a lecture basher because I know that you have to give knowledge or you have to share information. So I'm not going to be like that. It's just going to be about collaboration and things that we can do to help support our students. I see lots of Aldine, which I totally expected. Cleveland ISD, okay. I actually go through Cleveland when I go to Arkansas, my hometown. Fort Bend is in the house, okay. Klinsman Intermediate is A-Leaf, all right. Someone says, how is that possible? It's really not. It's not. But you're going to see what I mean when I say teaching with your mouth shut later. Eisenhower in the house. So a little tidbit. I used to teach at Aldine ISD for Reed Academy when they were intermediate 5th and 6th grades. I was a language arts teacher there, and I love it and I miss it so much. And I know they've changed the structure, but that was one of the schools that I really love. But I love Aldine in general. But it's so many districts here that I love. I've been keeping up with you, even though I work at community college now. I actually love keeping up with what's happening in the ISDs and TEA and all the different policies that they're putting out there. So very good. I see Eisenhower, MacArthur, Aldine Middle, Go Reed Academy. Okay, so majority of you are Aldine, it looks like. I had people from other states on the other one. I see Fort Bend. Okay, very good. All right. I see my colleague Laura in here. Hey, Laura. Tarkington ISD. Okay, that's a little farther out. Goose Creek representing Katy ISD. Awesome. Okay. Love my educators. So I'm just so glad you guys all are here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started on first, I want to see if you guys will do this for me. There's something called Mentimeter that I love dearly. and we just got it upgraded. So I want to see if you guys can get in there. There's 3 ways that you can join. If you don't want to or you're not comfortable, that's totally fine. You can just use the chat, but this really makes it a little more interactive. If you either scan the barcode, you go to menti.com and enter the code. That's the second way. Or the third way is just to open another browser and copy that link inside of the browser. And then you'll be able to actually see the PowerPoint on that screen or your device and follow along and answer some of the questions that I'll have in the presentation. And really, that's what teaching is all about. It's about sharing. So what I'll do is be collecting information to see how I can better support you and how you can support each other, because that's how we learn, I really believe, is from other educators. We're learning, like, what are you doing in your classroom? How are you dealing? How are you coping? You know, what lessons are you doing? So hopefully you'll be able to go in there and kind of follow along and be involved with these, okay? So what I want to do before we get started is, because I've seen the notes and say that it is impossible and you can't do it, what do you think I mean? Or what are you doing to teach with your mouth shut? So when I say that, I mean, I love it. Hand gestures, I don't know. So teaching, letting students explore. Okay, so you're not just giving all the information out. What are you doing to get the bond or the collaboration of students to work together? So of course you have to give them some information, but how are you making it interactive so that they can come in and support themselves? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Body language, okay, even online, Nearpod, using videos, using Schoology, perfect, book club circles. So you are getting them more to teach each other instead of you just constantly lecturing, all right? So we'll see on the next slide why this is important, all right? Socratic seminar is beautiful. That's a very good answer along with these other ones. Using Nearpod, using Mentimeter, which is what we're using right now, a polling tool to help get them involved, sharing their ideas. So really that's what this is about. I know you can't teach with your mouth shut, but these are strategies or activities that you can use. I see music, yes. I wanted to play music here, but all the emails that I was getting was like, you know, it may not work so well. We're already streaming, you know, you don't want all the breakups. But I actually have my little speaker that I was going to put music on in the background, but that's the universal language. If you can incorporate music some way into your Zoom or your WebEx or Skype, however you're using your platforms, beautiful. Listen in capital letters and stop talking. I love that. You do really need to listen and get feedback from students to even know if they're learning. Give them time to talk. That's what I'm talking about. Sharing the information, putting it out there, giving them something to read, but let them learn from their conversations, their open-ended questions, their discussions. Socratic seminar, I see that again. Whiteboards is another really good way for them to come in and share. If you're teaching math, letting them practice those different things. So that's wonderful. Quiz I haven't used it a lot, but I have so many faculty that's using Quizlet and Quiz so those are really good other ideas. These results I definitely can share. I have about, I think it's 55 people that's shared so far, and these are just really, Padlet and Flipgrid are my favorites. Besides Mentimeter, those two are just so helpful with interaction. I don't really like the discussion boards in our LMS that we use. So using Flipgrid is a great way for them to use video, because you know they like selfies and videos, for them to get more involved. Google Slides is another really good collaboration. Google Docs, all of those things working together. So you guys get the idea now. I wanted just to make sure that you knew that the title of this was really just to get you here. And because it is the title of a book, it was written about 15, 20 years ago, but there are some good ideas in the book, but I used a couple of the ideas to build on it for myself. So it's not that I'm using everything in the book, but I do have a few things in here that kind of align with the book. So thank you for this great information. We're almost at 60 people. So thank you for following instructions. That's what we want our students to do. SQPI. Let me see what that is. I don't think I've heard of that one. Can I go back up to that? Give me a second. Oh, it's not letting me go back. I'm going to have to look at that later so I can find out what those stand for. But that was really good. So thank you again. I saw someone else with Padlet. Visual cues, the hand gestures. So even in online, even if you don't have them face to face, your body language, your smile, your passion, it comes across. Okay, so you want to make sure that your enthusiasm for your content and for your lessons, it comes across. Even if you're an administrator, I may have administrators on here, popping into those classes, letting those teachers know, letting those students know that we're still here for you, having those support, small groups, all of these are really, really great strategies. So thank you again for, it's not too late. You can always continue to add those. But I am going to move on so that we can make sure we have so much to cover. I did have my link, my website link on the page so that you guys can continue to reach out if you need to. And at the end, I'll give you my information again so that we can stay in touch and keep these going, because I do want to share all of these with you. Scavenger hunts is amazing. Yes, that's a really good idea to use scavenger hunts, especially during these times where they are out. Goose Chase. I need to make sure that you guys know about something called, it's an app called Goose Chase, CHASE. That is an app that is a scavenger hunt app. Okay, so when you get a chance, goosechase.com, and you can look that up. But that's really good for digital scavenger hunts. Okay, so let's move on to our goals and objectives. So I only have 2 goals and objectives for today for you. One is participation. So if you see the little person with the thought bubble, your ideas, just like you did on the previous screen, love it. Because I'm not one to just share all the ideas. I'm not the all-seeing, all-knowing Dr. Landry. I still learn from you, and I give you tips and things that's worked for me and experiences. But you guys are really the ones that's still in the trenches and doing all those things. So that's why I like to see what you're doing and your strategies. So one goal is for you to participate and share ideas. And then the other goal is for the idea, at least one takeaway. If you can, after this, I know many of you have probably been teaching probably more years than I have, but from the beginning teacher to a veteran teacher, hopefully within this presentation, you can have at least one takeaway that you can use or adapt to your teaching to help you continue engaging students interactively in a face-to-face, hybrid, or online setting. Okay, before I get started, I'm gonna let you look at this and I'm gonna get some water because I've been talking too much because I had a 9 o'clock and this 10 o'clock, so I'm gonna get some water. Hey, so this learning pyramid, I'm not sure if you've seen this, but I use this in quite a few of my presentations, which is another basis of this book. So if you notice, the learning pyramid talks a little bit about retention rates of what information learners can retain. So if I only lecture or just talk to students only, they usually retain 5% of the information. Okay. But if they have to read something and try to retain it, about 10% of the learners with just reading will retain it. And if you notice, as you go down, the retention rate increases. So at the very bottom, you see 90% of learners retain if they teach others. So that's the reason, if you think about teaching with your mouth shut, give them information. So you have to lecture, you have to share that knowledge, you have to get it out there for the students to grasp, and those concepts and those terms and other things that you want them to learn. But once you do, you need to make sure that they can practice it by doing and work together, get in those student groups, those discussion groups, and teach each other about that. So that's the reason I like this pyramid, because I agree with this research that the more they can do and get involved and practice, they're going to retain more of it. Right? I'm going to see if we have any comments over here, because sometimes when I get on that screen with faculty, they like to discuss that. So let me just, okay. Someone says, I try to make my students teach their classmates. A lot of them are too embarrassed to speak in front of their classmates. Very true. Okay. So hopefully we'll learn some strategies in here, but yes, they do learn better from each other. I wanted to just go, I have to toggle between two screens to see your comments. So bear with me. Okay, there's a question submitted. 1 minute of lecture for each year of students' age. Interesting. I have not heard that. Okay, but maybe that's a good gauge to see how much information you need to give a student based on their age. I like that. So that means a 5-year-old, maybe 5 minutes of lecture. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that. All right. I tell my students helping each other is also a way to learn. So true. Yes. Loving these comments. All right. Okay. And I'm not going to forget that there are questions. So we do have someone behind the scenes holding those questions, and we will have time to get to those questions closer to the end. All right. So I'm going to move on to our next one, which is one that you've seen, but I had this in here, but I love the one that the keynote shared. So I'm going to have to change that out to the Bloom's digital taxonomy. I like that one for today's time. So that is one thing that I love. The way we had to adapt in March is how we have to adapt in our classrooms right now. So if we've been teaching a long time and we have a lesson from 5 years ago, it may not be efficient or effective now because our times have changed from 5 years ago. And just 1 year ago, I would have said that with not as much meaning and feeling and passion as I'm saying it right now, because you know the time that we're in and the supports that's needed right now for these students, for these faculty, for these parents has totally changed. So just like the Blooms has not really changed the essence of it, but the digital taxonomy is going to really be more helpful now because we can see what specific things, what specific apps, what specific instructional technologies that's needed to help with these various levels. Lower order thinking skills versus the higher order thinking skills. And he talked about creating. What are you doing to make sure these students are creating? Because they're losing some things. They're losing this social emotional learning piece, which I talked about in the last presentation. So now we have to like kind of fill that gap. We have to find ways to fill those things in, just like we have to find ways to fill in the Blooms with some digital pieces. Okay, so I wanted to just share that before I move into our next slide. I just put this picture in here because of online, of how we've changed now. So thinking to the way we learned when we were coming up in school, I'm not quite old enough to remember those see Jane run, see Spot run, and the dots as you read going to. So I'm almost there. I remember a little bit of them talking about it, but the way we learn to read, the way we learn to comprehend and to analyze information is so different nowadays. So that's the paradigm shift or the mindset that I want us to kind of be in as we go into this presentation, that the way we used to do things just may not be quite as effective as they could be. All right. So just keep an open mind to that, and just let's see if we can explore and learn together as we move forward. This presentation is based on an acronym called the BOPS. All right. This is something that I do a full week on, which is I got a certification in instructional skills workshop. So you may be able to Google that, instructional skills workshops. And it's something that was based out of Canada. It was from a group of industry professionals, actually, that started teaching, and they were doing different trainings in their organization. And they found that there needs to be some type of structure. So there's so many out there. Madeline Hunter, the BOPS lesson planning. So there's different structures and frameworks that we have. And I'm sure all these ISDs and Alden I know has a structure of how they want to present lessons. But this is a new one that I'm just using this just to share with you a tidbit. And then there's so many resources on each one of these letters. I didn't put a slide in here about what each one stands for because I want you to take notes and remember, okay? So the B is for a bridge in. So some type of way to introduce the lesson to them or give them some type of warm up to get them thinking about your topic or your subject. So you want to bridge them in or slowly take them into learning. Next is the objective. You got to have an objective. Everyone knows that. That's on this call, that you have to have something, a student learning outcome or an objective or result that you want these students to know by the end of this unit or module or section, right? There's 3 P's. You have a pre-test, participation, and a post-test. All right. If you've already heard of this, I would love to see it in the chat. But pre-test, you want the KWL, which is the all famous foundational, what do you know, want to know, learn. So you want to see what prior knowledge do they already have. Then you want to make sure that they do something, that doing, remember the pyramid, participatory activities. How are they doing some hands-on? How are you letting them practice this? Are they in their groups? What are they working on? And then, of course, a post-test will let you know, did they get my objective? Did they get what I wanted them to learn? What knowledge did they obtain or acquire? And then finally, a summary, which is what normally we don't have time to do. So the S is normally omitted or left off. Okay, there's no wrap up. Okay, this is all a gift. So how will you wrap it up? Your lesson. What are you going to summarize? No, I remember the day that the bell is about to ring. Okay, guys, see ya. Okay, so we just end. We don't really build into our lessons a way to just wrap it up or summarize it. So BOP it. Make sure your lesson BOPs. Okay, that's the little acronym that we're going to kind of talk through as we're going through this presentation. So I'm going to hop back over for a second and just see if I have any comments or thoughts on the BOPs because I really like it, easy to remember. Canadians are the greatest when it comes to innovations. I can agree with you there. Yes, instructional skills workshop. Someone put that. Okay, someone help. Just like you just did. I love it. We help each other. Someone said instructional what? And then someone said instructional skills workshop. That's how we learn. We learn best together. Okay. No cookie cutter situations. Thank you. I totally agree. It's no cookie cutter. I just really like this because it kind of is a broad concept and you can just put different things there, but there are so many. You're absolutely right. We have learned to pivot. Yes, we have. We actually had a session called Pivot because we used the sitcom Friends because they actually talked about pivoting, bringing the sofa up, that we made a big thing out of it. But yes, this is the hugest pivot. I used to play basketball and a pivot was just a little thing, making a little turn or a little 1 degree. But this is a major pivot that we're going through right now. A pandemical pivot. I'm going to write that down. I like it. That's not a real word, I don't think, pandemical. I just made that up. Okay, but I like that. I'm always taking notes as well. So thank you for these comments. Yes. All right, I'm going to move on so we can get into the nitty gritty, right? So what's the warm up? Okay, I got a little flyer here to see what type of warm ups. When your students come to class, I used to have music playing. All right, so that's one thing, and it may be music related to what we're going to talk about that day. It could be classical music. It could be a group, whatever I want to set the atmosphere or the tone for my class. That's the warm up that I may do. But every day I would have some type of warm up, even if you're online or hybrid. Some people call it bell starters, discussion starters, whatever you want to call it, but you need something to bridge in those students. But what I like to do is I want to see what your warm-ups are. My next screen shares a few warm-up ideas with you, but I want to see, I have so many, 60 of you answered the other question. I want to get ideas from you on what things you do, because I know I have different subjects in here, different content. So what are some things that you do to warm up? Okay, how do you get your students engaged at the beginning of class? What is your thing? Okay, what do you do? Check-ins, community circle. I love it. Building community, huge. Because teaching really is all about relationship building. Okay, so a community circle is perfect. If you're not in Mentimeter, put it in the chat. I'm going to look over here in the chat as well. Daily check-ins, I see it. Yes. Use Menti, which is what I'm using to answer questions. Beautiful. Kahoot, it's a hoot. They love it, right? Okay, so yes, you're absolutely right. Kahoot, the game, the music, they love that. Oh, I see that, writing a book. Okay, I love that. Yes, actually, I'm working on a book, believe it or not, and hopefully you guys will be some of my readers. But that's coming down the line. I have one book, but it's inspirational. But I'm actually working on a student guide. So thank you for putting that in here. Frederick had a question about that. Okay, SEL video and discussions. I just did the SEL's Cassell.org. I don't work for them, but you would think I do, because I know Alden uses Cassell, Casel. They have so many resources, and they're free resources. So yes, that is a wonderful way to get started and build community. Someone said, thank you for the O. Coffee chats. I love it. Our little department does something like that now, even online. Music and coffee chats. Really a check-in that starts with a question. We're going to talk about questions. Thank you for putting that, Krista. Entrance tickets. There are exit tickets and there are entrance tickets. So that is your warm-up and your summary. If you can incorporate entrance tickets or exit tickets, beautiful. Breathing exercises. Oh my gosh, you're so on it over here. I haven't even looked at the menu. I'm looking at the chat right now. But yes, it's something about inhaling and exhaling that gets your brain ready for learning, which is why yoga is so huge right now. But that actually, the mindfulness trend, along with those breathing exercises, a lot of people are using those now. So very good. Language of the day. I remember that from 5th and 6th grade. That was so wonderful. It was called mountain language, I think. You might still use it, I don't know. But you would have on the board, and they would know like what day to go to see like what sentence are you correcting. It was just all these different grammar. You would have something to focus them when they got there. Okay, so excellent. Scenarios, questions, mindful minutes. I'm loving these thoughts. Let me go over here to the mini meter. You guys are getting me so excited. There's so much here. All right. Compose and decompose a number of the day. Compose and decompose. Okay, I like it. Morning meeting. They can just kind of debrief, relax. Okay, check in is the same. Okay, check in questions. I see morning meeting again. So maybe same school, morning meetings. Excellent. Start question, then breakout rooms. That's that collaboration again, that community. I'm seeing a theme there. Movie clips connected to content. You can't go wrong with the YouTube. They're on it all the time. TikTok, the keynote speaker talked about the tutorial TikTok the student made. Social media, if you can harness that and direct it. I know some people that's been teaching a long time, like I'm never going to do that, but they're doing it. So whatever you can find to get in the groove with them. YouTube videos are fun and relevant. Relevance is key. You can't just find a YouTube video because you like it or it makes you laugh. Try to tie it in with your objective or what the learning is for the day. So it takes some prep time to find the right one that's going to go along with your lesson or what you need. Okay, I could read these forever. I love them. And I'll try to share this with you. Hopefully I'll be able to, I can save the results and get these to you because that's how we learn by sharing information. But I'm gonna move on. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the ones that I have. You guys have way better ones than I do, but I like quotes. And a quote can do so many things because one person can read a quote and have a total different interpretation of that quote, just like poems. Okay. If you give a student a quote, they are going to either key in on a word, make some kind of connection, but you'll have so many different answers. And what I love about these, they're discussion starters. It's not a grade where you have this answer right or this answer wrong. And students are more free and open to share when they know there's not a grade related. That's why I like free writes. So some days you can target a free write, even if you're not a writing teacher. I used to tell my math colleagues in biology and science, just have them writing. Even if you put a word up of the day of what you're going to talk about that day and just let them free write what that means to them. Okay. Rock cycle, what do you know about rocks? And just let them just do different writings. Just let it flow. Okay. Current events, it's at the bottom, but it probably should be at the top. If you can find something that's going on today that's relevant to students, and I'm going to put an and, I haven't added this, it just popped in my mind, adding some technology or some type of social media, something that can relate to them or their age. Relevance is key. Finding something that's relevant. Someone said earlier, the question, opening with the question of the day, which is my top bullet. Thought-provoking questions. The more higher level your question is, if you write a higher order thinking skill question, it evokes a better, more detailed, robust answer from students. If you give them a basic question, they're going to probably give you a basic answer. But the more thought that you can put into your questioning skills will help those students with their answers or the responses, the richness of the response that you receive. Journal entries. Some people journal. I know writing teachers do it all the time. You come in and you start on the journal entry. Okay, could be free write, could be teacher selected topics. All right, it's just so many ways that you can use this information. One positive event happening since last class, which is the check-in, morning meetings. It's the same thing that you're talking about. So these are just some things that I've tried in the past. I've collected over. I can change these now because of the warm-ups that you gave, because there's so many that you can do, but you want to make sure that you grab them, get their attention when you first come into class every day. I put this questioning screen here because the questions are important. I talked about it a little bit already, so I'm not gonna beat the, like I said, this BOPS lesson, really, I have sessions for each letter. So you can really go into how to create thought-provoking questions. The wording that you use. Bloom's has this sheet that has you all these action verbs. And based on the level, you use those action verbs. So there's a whole session on this, but I just wanted to make sure that you understand that those questions are so critical. They're very important. I'm going to just leave this up here for a minute to soak in as I get another sip of water. And I'm wondering what you guys are going to think about this slide. I'm going to slip over to chat and see what you think of that slide. Someone says love free. I think all teachers love free. I know I do. Go Noodle. I never heard of that. Dance video website. I love to dance. I'm going to have to check that out right after this call. We need to get them moving around. Normally I would be standing up, but I know I have like such a large amount of people on here. I'm like, I didn't want to be moving around and getting anyone sick, but standing, if you can get your students up, that Goose Chase, when you look up that Goose Chase app, it makes them go and find things, make them move instead of just sitting right there at the computer. So I know the PE teachers are going to love me for that. But yes, you want to keep them moving. I know many of these students that is at home. I know my daughter is one example. She's a senior and she doesn't want to even go walking. She doesn't want to do anything. She's at her computer all the time. So let's get them moving. Let me see. This probably is an old picture. Very good. There is one additional intelligence. I'm going to see if someone can tell me what it is because I can't think of it right now. But yes, depth of knowledge. Good. Okay. Personalized learning. What did they used to call it? Differentiated instruction. Okay. These are good words. I'm just looking in here. Learning styles. Okay. That is one. Multiple intelligences. All of these words. It's no wrong. Gardeners. Okay. Good. Excellent. This is what I wanted you to know, that even though we're online, we still have to consider these things. Music smart. That's why I talked a little bit about the music. There's a whole section in Box that I do presentations on how to incorporate music, what the beat per minute needs to be, what types of music, what genres of music. Because if they're doing a free write, you don't want to have rock on, or heavy metal, or fast rap or upbeat. So beats per minute. There's a method and research behind what type of music to use with different things on here. So thank you, Frederick. Existential and natural. Okay, so for the nature lovers, and the existential is more like the human part, which shouldn't be left out here, because that's the part, the relational part, that we definitely need. We hear about the intrapersonal, the intra and interpersonal, people smart. So yes, there are more, and like I said, there are so many different pieces to this. We're learning so much more, especially at these times right now. So yes, there are 9 now. So thank you for looking at it. Mozart, Bach, the Bach music, the classical Mozart. There's certain structured music that has certain beats per minute. I can't remember the number right off, but yes, learning to that, doing structured study time, group work, and certain music that you can listen to as and I know I probably have some music teachers on here that can really relate, but there are certain music that it does something to your brain as you're working, so it doesn't throw you off with multitasking. So excellent, very good, thank you. So that's all I wanted to really say about that. Please keep these students in mind. They're smart in some way. All right. We know they may not get certain concepts, but on this scale, the 9 total, you want to make sure that you're trying to reach all of these different styles of learning for students and adults. I take this into consideration when I'm hosting faculty development sessions at my college. So please make sure that you're infusing different activities into your lessons that are going to reach these students. And then I put this beautiful picture here because of music. I love music. I always have loved music. I love dancing. I love movement. So if you can find a way to incorporate this into your classes, any subject, not just music teachers, you actually can incorporate different types of music. I did a session on this through this instructional skills workshop, and the probably about 2 to 3 hours, not that many, maybe 1 to 2 hours, was spent on just music. So I would give the participants time to go online and find music that goes with their subject. All right. There's YouTube videos. There's different musical websites. They could use Spotify, Pandora, whatever they wanted to use. And I had them come up with so many things. They're gerrymandering. I didn't even know what that meant, but I had a professor that found a gerrymandering rap. And so he was super excited. He shared it with the class because at the end we have to do a presentation or capstone. And he shared it in his presentation, and he made us memorize like a small part of it to talk about boundaries and where the lines end. And then he did an activity that tied to the song, and it blew us away. So it takes prep time, but you can find music. And even if it's in the warm up, or if you have them make their own song, it's just so many ways that you can incorporate it. But if you can play music, students are going to love it. They're going to love you too. I'm going to see if anyone uses music. I'm just going to jump over here real quick and see if there are any thoughts. Okay. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to move on. I don't think you're going to be able to hear this, but this is a biteable. So I use something called Biteable, BITEABLE.com. And of course, it was free, but you can upgrade it. But I made a Biteable, and all I did, I'm going to play it as I talk because I don't think you'll be able to hear it. Let's see if I can. It may not let me play it. No, I don't think it is. Okay, but what it does is just pictures. So you can do it with PowerPoint as well, but I love that the music is behind it. But you can click play and it just plays these different scenes. All right, that's all it does. It's no words, it's just a little music in the background, and you see all these different pictures, and you just have students make a connection with the picture. It's super simple. You could actually just do a looping of pictures in a PowerPoint. But I just like I said, it has the music with it. And students love it. And it's like 30 seconds. It's only like 12 pictures. But using something like this, I have animals in here. I have a skeletal system in here. I have maps in here. I just really wish you could see it. But any student in any subject will make a connection with it. Okay. Nature lovers, all of those learning styles. I have a picture and I specifically picked it because you're going to connect with it in some way, whether you're science minded, whether you're math, languages, arts, music. I have all those pictures and it's 12, but everyone can connect with it. So this is another piece of teaching with your mouth shut. Sharing visuals, music, pictures, art, quotes. You're putting in supplements in your lessons that's going to evoke something from the students. Okay, on top of your content, of course. One of my favorite activities is called, it was a gallery walk. I don't know. Let me know in the chat if you ever used a gallery walk in your classroom or if you've heard of that. All right. I changed the word for gallery viewing because now students, they in my class face to face, I would actually have pictures up or quotes or something up on the walls, and they have to have their notebook and like walk around the room. I would set it up early or the day before, and they'd have to walk around and make thoughts or comments on whatever they saw, or they'd have to write a sentence, So it was called a gallery walk, but now I call it a gallery viewing because they're just probably sitting at their computer, many of them. But if you're in class, you can still do the gallery walk as well. Yes, I see people, art class. I know that's wonderful for art, but I see some people using imagery, gallery walk after projects are complete. Okay, so as a reward, maybe good. Absolutely. Some people are using this. I did this last week. Okay, someone's already done it. This is wonderful. I love them because they get the kinesthetic, they get you up and moving, they get you thinking, they get you, looking, using the visual. So really a gallery viewing can encompass many of those lifestyles, many of those learning styles at once. And I just put up 3 questions because you want to put up a question that's going to really make them think. These may not, but I just wanted to let you know that you need to give them specific instructions of what you want. When they finish the gallery viewing, what type of response do you want from them? So choose your pictures carefully, choose your music carefully, quotes, math problems, science, whatever. Make sure you choose them properly. And I'm going to go to the next screen so that you can see kind of what I put on here. I haven't added the math yet, but these are just some images that I put here just to evoke something. Okay. I know most students, the students that I used to teach, they're going to laugh at this bottom left picture of this. I don't know if it's an animal or dog. I don't know what it is, but that's what you want. You want something that's provocative or that's going to make them really think or think outside the box or some innovation. Beauty is so many things that you can get from just these pictures. Then you have like the frog. You can talk about cells. You can talk about bacteria. You can relate it to coronavirus. Mushrooms, toxin, poison, koalas. Most people love animals, little teddy bears. The ecosystem. Just in one picture, you can find so many things that you can talk about, plants, the change of the seasons, just color, anything. And then of course, quotes. So your image that you select is what's going to prompt those things. Okay. We're almost at the end. I told you I had so many. Now, this is what we're at the end. So you've seen a lot of things. You guys have shared quite a few. The goal for me today was for you to get one takeaway that you maybe can use or adapt, or something that you're doing that you can enhance. So what have you heard today that you can use, adapt, or your one takeaway? All right. So this last slide, I really would like for you to let me know, how can you use something that you learned, something that you heard, or something new that you saw, maybe another colleague put up, that you can go in and enhance your lesson just a bit. I always like just one takeaway because it's so much out there. We're already overwhelmed. I saw the notes. I was reading through the keynote, and I saw excess testing. You guys are getting professional development. You have to make sure you reach out to students. So just finding one little thing that you can incorporate to help.
So good, Dr. Landry. We
Yes.
do have only 4 minutes left in this stream.
Okay.
So while they are typing in their responses to your question, I do just want to shout out to you guys. The super secret word for this session is inspire. So you will be getting an email. With the certificate for the session, but remember, you cannot print it or you cannot access it if you don't have the right password. So the password for this is Inspire. Remember that it is case sensitive. So be careful with that. Also, guys, please check out our vendors, our vendor-led sessions. They are the reason why this entire conference is free and completely paid for. So let's go support them. Next thing, let's see. Looks good. Let's go to our co-host Sarah. Sarah, was there any? There's just so many questions because this was just so good and like so. This is such a good session, Dr. Landry.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you though before I ask Sarah, Dr. Landry, do you have a Twitter?
I do. It's I think it's at Step Up Ed. But if you put my name, Ericka Landry, in there, because I just changed it, but I think it's at Step Up Ed for Twitter.
Okay, because we gotta keep up with you, Dr. Landry.
I put my website over there. Let me see if I have my last slide because I do want to make sure.
Yeah.
This slide, they can put in the chat their email because I do send out tips and resources. I do want to stay in touch with you. So if that Twitter doesn't work, I would like for you to either in chat or in here add your information so that I can make sure that I send out information on my mailing list when I send the newsletter.
Yes, because we want to follow you. You just have so much really good things to share.
Yes.
And with that, we got 2 minutes left. Sarah, anything you see in the
Any
chat?
questions?
There was just so many great comments. I would encourage everybody to go back through and read them. Great sites to look at. I didn't really see too many questions, but we still have a few more minutes. If you have a question, please write it in the comments.
Okay. And I see lots of emails coming in. So I will make sure I reach out to each of them. I'm building a website that will have all of this. January, I'm hoping to roll that out so I can make sure that I reach out to each of you as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, it is 10:49, you guys. So we're going to go ahead. And if Dr. Landry, there's nothing else, we just want to thank you so much for your time and for your knowledge, just sharing all of that with us. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, I'll let you go early so you can get to your next session. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.